television world, just like in real life, you win some and you lose some. So for this video, we're going to take a break from the deep dives and talk about some of the TV shows that didn't make it during the decade we can't stop reminiscing about, the 90s. Some we still love to this day and wish had gone the distance, and some we don't miss at all and prefer to forget ever existed. The Royal Family aired on CBS between September 18, 1991 and May 13, 1992. The series chronicled the lives of Atlanta mail carrier Alexander Alfonso, better known as Al Royal, played by Red Fox, and his wife Victoria, played by Della Reese, who were preparing for a relaxing retirement until marital problems caused their daughter Elizabeth, played by Marian Alda, Kim, played by Silver Gregory, Curtis, played by Lorenz Tate, and Hillary, played by Naya Rivera, to move in with them. The show was intended as a comeback vehicle for Red, who'd not had a successful television series since Sanford & Son went off the air in 1977. Things were going well in the beginning until Red suffered a massive heart attack and collapsed on stage during rehearsal on October 11, 1991. He was taken to a local hospital where he later died at the age of 68. The show's producers decided to resume work on the series, which included bringing in new cast members. Jackée Harry was added as Victoria's younger sister Ruth. She was introduced in the series' 8th episode, which was written to deal with Al's death. After that, the show was placed on hiatus so the writers could rework everything. When it returned, Jackée's role had been changed to that of the royal's eldest daughter, Coco. It didn't work, evidenced by the ratings not matching those of episodes featuring Red, so CBS canceled the series. Here and Now aired on NBC from September 19, 1992 to January 2, 1993. It starred Malcolm Jamal Warner in the lead role, who'd just wrapped up The Cosby Show a few months earlier. Taking a page from his Cosby character Theo, Alexander A.J. James, played by Malcolm Jamal, is a recent college graduate who majored in psychology and is now attending postgraduate school. He returns to his old neighborhood in Harlem to become a counselor at a local youth center. He lives with Sidney, played by Charles Brown, his non-biological uncle. The series co-stars included S. Epatha Murkerson as Claudia St. Marthe, the head of the youth center, Daryl Chill Mitchell as T, a former delinquent now working at the center, Rachel Crawford as Danielle, Sidney's daughter and AJ's occasional love interest, and Jessica Stone as Amy, a fellow postgraduate student attending the same school as AJ and also working at the center. Pee Wee Love and Sean Weiss also co-star as AJ's counselees, Ramdal and William, respectively. The show was ultimately canceled due to low ratings. Bill Cosby, who served as one of the executive producers, later admitted that he felt the show's cancellation was justified due to the series not being very well written. Out All Night aired on NBC from September 19, 1992 to July 9, 1993. The sitcom was about a singer, Chelsea Page, played by Patti LaBelle, who runs an LA nightclub, a young graduate, Jeff Carswell, played by Morris Chestnut, and his best friend and roommate, Vidal Thomas, played by Dwayne Martin, who help her, Chelsea's daughter, Cherise Chamberlain, played by Vivica A. Fox, and their Scottish neighbor, Angus McEwen, played by Simon O'Brien. It was set in the same universe as The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which made perfect sense since the creators of Out All Night also created Fresh Prince. Sadly, before Out All Night could even capitalize on this connection through crossover plots or episodes, it was canceled after its debut season, reportedly due to, you guessed it, low ratings. Getting By aired on ABC from March 5, 1993 until May 21, 1993, and then on NBC from September 21, 1993 until June 18, 1994. It first aired on ABC as part of the network's TGIF lineup, but due to politics between the network and Miller Boyett Productions, it was switched to NBC for its second and final season. The show was about two best friends and single mothers, one white and one black, who decide to split the mortgage on a new home in Oak Park, Illinois, and live there with their respective families. The women, widow Dolores Dixon, played by Thelma Hopkins, and Kathy Hale, played by Cindy Williams, whose husband ran off with another woman, were also co-workers. Dolores had two sons, Marcus, played by Merlin Santana, and Darren, played by Dion Richmond. Kathy had two daughters, Nikki, played by Nikki Van Ice, and Julie, played by Ashley Blair Sterling. Getting By scored well in the ratings, owing in part to its lead-in Step by Step, the star power of Cindy Williams and Thelma Hopkins, and Merlin Santana as its breakout star. In early May 1993, a few weeks before network upfronts, ABC confirmed that the show would be renewed, but it would move to Saturday nights in September. Miller Boyett and creators William Bickley and Michael Warren were dissatisfied with the network's plan, as they were certain their show's ratings would severely drop on Saturday nights. ABC was not willing to keep the show on TGIF since they were adding Hangin' with Mr. Cooper and a new series called Boy Meets World to the Friday lineup. In retaliation, Miller and Boyett pulled Getting By from ABC, promptly getting NBC to pick it up for the fall. When the show's second season premiered on NBC in September, Getting By aired Tuesday nights following the new series Saved by the Bell: The College Years. However, disappointing ratings for The College Years had an effect on Getting By, whose ratings were now falling from its first season ranking on ABC. By mid-season, NBC ended up defeating the purpose of the producers having moved the show from ABC in the first place. The show relocated to Saturday nights that January, but after only a month of Saturday airings, NBC put the series on hiatus in late February and did not return until May, where it continued airing in the same Saturday slot. But concurrent with NBC's fall 1994 network upfronts, the series' return came with the news that Getting By had been canceled. Thea aired on ABC from September 8, 1993 to February 16, 1994. Set in Houston, Texas, title character Thea Armstrong Terrell, played by stand-up comedian Thea Vidal, is a widowed mother of 4 children who works as a supermarket cashier during the day and a hairstylist from her home at night. Her eldest child, Jarvis Jr., is played by Adam Jeffries. The only girl, Denisha, is next in line, played by future R&B singing star Brandy Norwood. Jerome is played by Jason Weaver, and the youngest, James, is played by Brendan Jefferson. Although Thea initially attracted high ratings, viewership declined steadily over the course of the season, and it was canceled after 19 episodes, having ended the season in 43rd place. One person who couldn't have cared less was Brandy. You see, behind the scenes, she and Thea did not get along. To find out more about all that drama, click on the card to watch my video on Brandy's life and career. The Sinbad Show aired on Fox from September 16, 1993 to April 21, 1994. The series follows the life of David Bryan, played by comedian Sinbad, a carefree bachelor who becomes a single parent when he adopts 2 orphan children, 6-year-old Xana, played by Aaron Davis, and 12-year-old LJ Beckley, played by Ray J. David's childhood friend Clarence Hall is played by TK Carter. The Sinbad Show ended up being one of several shows featuring predominantly black casts that were canceled by Fox around the same time, including Rock, South Central, and In Living Color. The cancellation of the series, all of which had predominantly black casts, prompted civil rights activist, politician, and ordained minister Jesse Jackson to call for a boycott of the network for perceived institutional racism. Fox maintained that the series was low-rated and the decision to cancel was not racially motivated. Dramedy sitcom South Central aired on Fox from April 5, 1994 to June 7, 1994. The series was set in 1990s South Central Los Angeles and focused on the lives of the Mosleys, an African-American family. Joan Mosley, played by Tina Lifford, is a divorced mother raising 3 children with no assistance from her ex-husband. She's forced to deal with many life-altering experiences, including her oldest son losing his life years earlier by a gang member and getting laid off from her job. Her remaining children include Andre, played by Lorenz Tate, Tasha, played by Tasha Scott, and foster son Dion Carter, played by Keith Mbulo. Rounding out the cast are nearly a dozen recurring characters, including Lucille, played by former In Living Color Fly Girl and future superstar actress and singer Jennifer Lopez. The show aired on Tuesday evenings following Rock. Due to the decline in ratings of the entire night of programming, though, Fox canceled South Central, plus all the other shows on that night, as well as Thursday comedies, The Sinbad Show and In Living Color. Sadly, the praise it received by critics and an award from Viewers of Quality Television, a group that uses viewer mail as leverage to petition the networks to save programs, wasn't enough to keep it going. Co-creator Ralph Farquhar explained his vision for the show to the New York Times in 1996. Throughout my entire career, I've only had one goal, one motivation, to bring an honest portrayal to the life I live to the screen, to the small screen. Did we go too far with South Central? No, because you can never go too far. If there's one thing I learned from TV, is that if you know that something's going to work, if you're comfortable with it, you're wrong. When you go far enough, so that you don't know whether something's going to work or not, then you're doing the right thing. On Our Own aired on ABC from September 13, 1994 until April 14, 1995. The series centers on the Jericho family, consisting of 7 brothers and sisters in the O'Fallon Park neighborhood of St. Louis. 6 months prior to the series, a car crash killed both their parents. When the show first debuted, the oldest child, Josh, played by Ralph Louis Harris, dressed as Aunt Jilcinda, or Mama J, to keep the family together. Many criticized them for copying the 1993 dramedy film Mrs. Doubtfire, even though the show had a totally different plot. It was then pulled off the air for several months. When the show came back, it had been retooled. Josh was himself now and had been granted custody of his younger siblings. The other 6 children, Jordy, Jesse, Jock, Jai, Jero, and Jimmy, are played by real-life siblings Journey, Jesse, Jake, Jazz, Jockey, and JoJo Smollett. Having aired on Sunday nights at 7:30 during the first half of the season, the show was moved to the 9:30 time slot, following Step by Step on TGIF when it returned in March 1995. The change didn't help ratings though, and after 6 weeks, the network pulled the plug. Me and the Boys aired on ABC from September 20th, 1994 until February 28th, 1995. It stars Steve Harvey as Steve Tower, a widower with 3 sons, who ran a video store in Dallas, Texas. Madge Sinclair co-starred as Steve's mother-in-law, Mary Cook. Chaz Lamar Shepard, Wayne Collins Jr., and Benjamin Levert played Steve's sons Artis, William, and Andrew, respectively. Combined with the star power of its 2 leads, the sitcom's positive messages about Black families led to favorable reviews and high ratings. Also, the series couldn't have had a better time slot, airing on Tuesdays following Full House and preceding Home Improvement. So, what happened? Well, unlike most great sitcoms that were tragically cut short, Me and the Boys wasn't canceled due to low viewership. Instead, ABC execs deemed the show to be too kid-driven, at a time when the most successful sitcoms were adult-oriented. My Brother and Me aired on Nickelodeon from October 15, 1994 to January 15, 1995. The show was about a typical African-American family living in Charlotte, North Carolina, who experienced the highs and lows of everyday life. It was also the network's first series featuring a predominantly Black cast. It starred Karen E. Fraction and Jim R. Coleman as parents Jennifer and Roger Parker. Their 3 children, Melanie, Alfred or Alfie, and Derek or Dee Dee, played by Aisling Sistrunk, Arthur Reggie III, and Ralph Woolfolk IV, as well as Jimmy Lee Newman as Alfie's best friend, Milton Goo Berry. In a 2007 interview, Ralph Woolfolk IV stated that the show was canceled due to the executive producers and production staff having different opinions as to where they wanted to take the direction of the show. Later, Ralph, as well as his parents, found out that the creators had gotten into a heated debate that resulted in the production staff not wanting to speak to one another anymore. Now, looking back at it, Ralph said, "I'm not as disappointed about the show being canceled as I am in them contributing to the negative stereotype that Blacks can't get along. It's shameful to know that a group of African Americans who had worked so hard couldn't find it in themselves to swallow their pride and do what was best for not only the show, but for the African American youth that had something positive to look forward to on Saturday and Sunday evenings." Science fiction fantasy sitcom Homeboys in Outer Space aired on UPN from August 27, 1996 to May 13, 1997. Set in the 23rd century, the show featured astronauts straight-laced Morris Clay, played by Daryl M. Bell, and fun-loving Tiberius Walker, played by Flex Alexander, as 2 Han Solo wannabes who fly around the galaxy in the Space Hoopty, a cheap flying lowrider, and comes with a smart-mouth computer called Loquacia, played by current En Vogue member Ronna Bennett. They go on wild adventures while taking abuse from Ty's brother-in-law Vashti, played by Kevin Michael Richardson, and get shown up by gorgeous bounty hunter Amma, played by Paulette Braxton most of the time. It was mercilessly panned by critics. TV Guide listed it as one of the 50 worst TV shows of all time. The show, in the name of comedy, ignored most of the known laws of astronomy, including the rule that you can't breathe in a vacuum. It had a very low budget, and some people thought it came across as somewhat racist. Due to a combination of low ratings, poor reviews from viewers and critics, and protests from the NAACP, the show was canceled after its first season. Between Brothers premiered on September 11, 1997 on Fox, with the second season airing on UPN until March 2, 1999. The comedy was about four black men sharing an apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Brothers Charles Winston, the sports writer, and James Winston, the real estate agent, are played by Kadeem Hardison and Dondre T. Whitfield, respectively. Mitchell, played by Tommy Davidson, is a junior high school history teacher and moves in after his second wife had thrown him out. Dusty, played by Kelly Perrine, moved up from Indiana to take a job as a TV meteorologist. Terry, a friend of Charles and James, played by Rachel Crawford, rounds out the main cast. While the show was initially paired up with veteran hits, Living Single, and then New York Undercover, Fox grew impatient with its lack of results and dumped it. UPN, though, believed in its potential and picked it up. Alas, the show wasn't able to establish any momentum, was panned by most critics, and soon canceled.